Well, criticism, threats, and protests. That's what public health officials across the country have seen during the response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and that includes some right here in Northeast Ohio. Former Ohio Health Director Amy Acton was one of them. Protesters marched outside of her home when they were unhappy with some orders she issued. And Geauga County's health commissioner says negative messages have reached his office as well.
There are increasing numbers of phone calls or emails or even Facebook posts, social media posts that are negative, to say the least, sometimes insulting, sometimes threatening or harassing. A couple of anonymous calls where folks have done some, I don't know, I'm assuming some internet research and found out about my own background, things that they're not hidden, but they're not published in terms of my past experience with WHO, my own religious preference, and so forth. And those have been mentioned in the phone calls, and that's concerning to me because it's somebody that's not just venting; it's somebody that looked me up somewhere, and that's unnerving.
Commissioner Quaid says most of the other health officials he's spoken with feel enough support from their communities to keep doing what they're doing.